imperial red. And this was used to designate all of the colonies of the the United Kingdom, including Ireland, on the maps of the time. Now, from this point of view, the King of England becomes something more like a spider, sitting at the centre of his web of colonies and literally sucking the lifeblood out of it, turning it into a white corpse. Now, all of this sounds like a little bit of an exaggeration, but of course the next thing that Bloom gets is a leaflet thrust into his hand by a YMCA young man standing outside the shop. Now, when Bloom looks at it, he's thinking of the typical leaflets you get from the YMCA, advertising heart-to-heart talks. But the first word he sees has the letters B-L-O-O in it, and Bloom thinks it's him, it's his name that's on the leaflet. But when he looks, it's the word blood, and the phrase is about the blood of the Lamb, the blood of Christ, that all are washed, all are bathed in the blood of the Lamb. Now this makes Bloom start thinking about all kinds of sacrifices, back to the Druids' altars, birth, death, all of these sacrifices, as it were, including kidney burnt offerings. If you remember back to episode 4, Bloom had a pork kidney for his breakfast and managed to burn it while he was upstairs talking to Molly. So even now, his burnt kidney that he had for breakfast becomes part of this sacrificial pyre. Now, one of the things to bear in mind about this is that Joyce was writing this episode during the First World War. He started the book in Trieste in 1914 and finished it in Paris at the end of 1921. And that war, of course, was one of the bloodiest wars known to mankind at that time. But many of the poets during that war, particularly in Germany and England, used blood imagery as part of their poetry, at the same time as these people were very literally being cannibalized, being fed to guns all across Europe. Here in Ireland, in 1916, the rebellion against British authority was centred on the GPO in the centre of O'Connell Street here, and the leader was Pádraig Pearse. He was a teacher and a poet, and in some of his poetry he envisaged himself as a Christ-like figure whose blood dropping onto the soil would rejuvenate Irish politics for the future. So this idea of blood sacrifice is not simply something that Joyce was writing about, it was something that was happening all across Europe at the time that he was writing. And this blood sacrifice, of course, is a form of cannibalism, because Joyce, here at the beginning of this episode, is already pointing to the two major forces that destroy and deform people's lives. The church, represented here by the Christian brother, and the state, represented by the King of England. Now, if you look forward to the Wandering Rocks episode, episode 10, it starts with a representative of the church, Father John Conley, and finishes with a representative of the state, the Lord Lieutenant. And between those two wandering rocks, the people of the city of Dublin are crushed. And here already, Joyce is indicating that it's these two forces that are cannibalizing the people of the world. So already, we haven't left the sweet shop yet, and we're already dealing with a great deal of blood and cannibalism at this point. Now, Bloom continues walking towards the river. We're going to do the same, but we're going to turn down to the right just before we get to the bridge.